Hello everyone, this is PowerX64 in the form of text-to-speech. This video is a bit different from the usual type of content. In this video, I look through my storeroom, which has numerous fans from scrapped and abandoned projects. I end up pulling all the fans out and determining what's worth keeping and what's not. Since I am going to be returning to consistent uploads, I want to start fresh, and this has to be done at some point. The footage you are seeing right now is a clip of the room with the fans and parts on the shelves. As you can see, it's a mess. Most of these have not been touched since 2021. There are things like damaged fan blades, random capacitors, busted motors, and more. Some of the fans you're seeing here might even be familiar if you were watching my channel around that time. It is important to note that I have other fans stored in other areas, and that this may end up being a multi-part series. After taking all this stuff out, we will do a quick evaluation and get rid of what needs to be gotten rid of. In this part of the video, you can see numerous fan motors which are mostly in one piece. These are the ones which I have decided to take a closer look at before disposing of them, in case they are still good. You will see that part in a later point in this video. In this part of the video, you can see some tube light fixtures on the shelf, as well as this box which has some old regulators and other parts in it. They have become very yellow in those 3 years. In this part of the video, you can see that some of the tubes are broken. You can also see how fungus has grown on some of these blades, which I will be disposing of. You will also see that I came across something a little bit unpleasant on the side of one of the fixtures. Might want to look away if you hate spiders. Here, you can see all the stuff I took out. There is a literal pile of ceiling fan motors, all of which are broken, some of which are vintage and worth keeping, others are more modern and not very special. Most of the modern ones in this pile are going to be scrapped. There are also blades which have been warped or bent beyond repair, which will go as well. This is because these newer fan motors are not worth the effort, and I can't even find the wiring diagram for me to test half of them. Unfortunate, really. Now, it's time to grab as many screws as I can, starting with this motor here. This motor was taken from a Westinghouse Euro swirl ceiling fan. It was one of the first fans in my collection. As you can see, the wires were snipped off at some point, and I don't even have the rest of the parts to put it back together, not to mention the lack of a wiring diagram. The screws I am taking are for the blades. These always come in handy when finding a fan that has them missing. This next motor is from a Eurospec climate ceiling fan. This one was working fine until I accidentally put the screws too tight and destroyed the copper windings. I will be harvesting the capacitor and reverse switch, as well as screws, wires, and even these crimped-on connectors from this one. These parts can actually be reused and do not take up much storage space. This one is a Bali Kingston ceiling fan. It has quite an interesting story, as I ended up modding it by replacing an integrated light kit with a traditional switch housing and giving it custom-made blades. This one stopped working after I installed it in 2020 and it began to operate incorrectly. I don't remember at this point, but it's time for this fan to go. It is not worth my time and has a tiny cheap motor. I have to remove the motor housing so I can keep the screws and nuts that hold it together. Then I will pull any wires or connectors that may be useful in the future. The motor housing will also be scrapped, as let's be honest, it does not look right without the integrated light kit, and I honestly don't think I'll come across another use case for this housing. Here are some other motors which are going to scrap. All of them are beyond repair and have already had their screws taken out. I have them out here in a yellow crate for now. These motors date from the 70s to 2019 and are either locked up, not working for an unknown reason, or dented and deformed beyond repair. There are also parts like rotors, stators, and windings which I will probably never use anyways. Now it's time for the real PowerX64 to take over the video, and we will test and evaluate some of the surviving motors out.
Okay, so this is PowerX64, and it's about a day since the first clips of this project have been recorded. So what I have here are a bunch of ceiling fans from the storage room from when I was making more videos. In this video I'm going to be testing these. Testing as many of them as I think are suitable for testing. And then I'll be putting them away accordingly. So I kind of have a bit of a pile down here. Even a Hunter original, and then a bunch of different industrial fans, and then I got some blades, a lot of stuff. So I guess we'll just begin. The first fan is this Westinghouse Swirl. I don't remember the status of this. I know I tested one of them a couple years ago, but it's been some time since then, so I'm just going to wire it up and we'll see if it works. If not, I'm gonna have to separate the working from the not working so I can determine what needs to be diagnosed versus what's just okay. Well, here we go. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. Alright, well that one's a keeper. So I'm gonna go add that. I'm gonna have to get a little pile now for the working fans. Basically, I'm trying to figure out how many of these work and how many of these are just broken and not worth my time. You know? The next one is one that I know doesn't work, but I'm gonna double check it. It's a Gloria ceiling fan. Now if I test this out and it doesn't work, the truth is I'm probably just going to scrap it. Does it have, yes, it has a capacitor. Okay. Yeah, if this doesn't work, it's in rough enough shape to where I will probably just scrap it. Because the truth is, I want to get into street lighting and I have too many of these abandoned ceiling fan projects that I just never got back to. I'm sure that some of these I just have to let go of, you know. I would usually keep the motor housing, but I don't think I'm going to come across another motor that fits with this. Let's hope that this doesn't explode when I plug it in. Yeah, that gives us nothing. I'm going to pull the chain and try again. Please don't explode. Yep, this one's dead, so you know what that means. Let's see how many of these connectors I can scavenge. I know this capacitor is probably going to be charged, so I'm not going to touch the terminals on it. You can get some wire nuts and capacitors. I know this might seem very unappealing, but these things have been sitting around from 2021, which was 3 years, and the honest truth is that these are not getting sold, and I'm not finding the time to work on them, and I want to start fresh, hence the title of this video. Alright, capacitor is out. I'm definitely going to grab the pull chain. Pull chain switches are it's nice to have. Oh, I think I broke the reverse switch. I mean, if a simple pull was enough to break that, it probably wasn't durable enough for me to reuse anyways. Just put these components on the bench and then I'll put them in, I'll find a place to store them. I'm going to grab the canopy and down rod. Oh, this isn't held in by any screws, just a pin. Yeah, the down rod. These can be reused. These are useful to keep. Rest of this. That's our first one out. So that's one fan's worth of space regained. This. Okay, this one's a bit big to fit on the camera, isn't it? I think this is still working, but it might not have a capacitor because I know that Gloria ceiling fan, I know that to fix it, I did scrap the capacitor from one of these. These were still working when I took them out. I have two of them, the exact same finish and everything. There were three, but the third one I scrapped because something happened to it. See if I can. This one looks like it's been tampered with, so I suspect it's probably missing something. I'm checking before I plug it in and it doesn't have a cap and it doesn't work. Just wanted to confirm before I plugged it in. I'm not going to be testing the lights because really I'm kind of low on time. I don't want it to get dark. Although to be honest, it could get dark and I could still be out here, but I'd rather not. Who's connected? And time for what I call the smoke test. Yep. Still works. So this is definitely a keeper. Worst case scenario, I get new blades, which shouldn't be too difficult to source. This is the matching one, but yeah, the capacitor has been ripped out of this. So while it may be working, I'm gonna need to find out how to rewire that capacitor because that has been cut out. It looks like both capacitors, no, only one, there's still this one, but the other one was cut out. I believe that's what this is right here. This is the capacitor that would have gone with this. So it would be like, the blue would go here, the yellow, where would that go? No clue. The black or gray. We need to figure out how to rewire it, but other than that, this one is probably working too. Okay, here's what I'll do. I may keep this one around, but if I don't find out how to rewire it, it's gonna have to go. It's not like this is a vintage fan. It's from 2016. So I'll just keep this capacitor loose in here as a reminder. It's a shame I can't find where that cap would have connected. Was it really gray? I'm gonna have to search and see if this is even the correct capacitor. I can't test this. I think you might remember this from a video I did way back. It had a light kit in that video, but I since removed that. What happened to this one? It just out of the blue didn't work. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna look in here and see if there's still a capacitor, assuming I didn't pillage it. Goodness me, that's tight. Okay, why is this so tight? You know, what's the worst that can happen if I just power it up? I'm really trying to avoid explosions here. Jeez. Yeah, that's not coming off. You know? I don't think we're gonna be getting that off. Man. Oh, it's missing one of the wires as well. The black wire is missing. So it's not like I can even test it if that's missing. So I have to get this thing off. There you go. Okay, I hope my footage didn't get erased. I accidentally turned off the camera while it was recording. Well, yeah, there's black wire here. You know, the truth is, I think I'm gonna scrap this one. I mean, do I want to scrap it? Probably. I may keep this part, but this part, the missing black wire, I'm assuming would have connected here and must have gotten yanked out at some point. The motor housing doesn't sit properly. Ah, my finger, it doesn't sit properly. I don't think I really want to keep this, because the truth is I'm probably not going to get back to it. Or you know what, maybe the reason why it stopped working in the first place was, you know, I'm going to keep it. It's going to have to be diagnosed in the future, but I'm definitely going to keep it because I think the issue is that this wire must have gotten yanked out at some point, which is why it stopped working in the first place. I mean, when I took it down, I just took it down. I didn't investigate. Alright. I know this works. I tested this in a past video. So this can go back because I know it works. I know for certain that this one works, but, you know, just to be safe, I'm going to test it while we're here. I did a video about this fan in the past. It's a Jamaica Wind, and it's actually well preserved. The blades weren't rusty. The blades are somewhere in this pile that's off camera. So I think this one might be worth. And it works and it really kicks itself. I believe this was the dysfunctional KDK. The truth about this is that I don't think I'm really going to keep this around because I'm going to take off all the plastic bits, but because the motor itself doesn't work, I'm going to get rid of the motor but keep the other parts. I already know this doesn't work. So I'm gonna just start taking off the bits now that I want to keep. This is the motor that I replaced the bearings in, and mysteriously it just didn't work after that. So I don't know what's wrong. I really used one of these crimped on connectors for this. Let's just yank it off. Yeah. Then there's a terminal block. Oh, this is tight. And it's rusty. Like, this is more rusty than when I started. Wow, that's crazy. I'd like to remind you that this has no bolt in it, and it's not coming off the down rod. Everything here, I'm taking. Oh, great. I'm back. That Hunter original just leaked oil all over the floor. I know I'm keeping that one. I mean, that's an original. I can't dispose of that. I just had to get the right screwdriver, as much as I didn't want to bother. I can't get this piece off because the screws that hold it they have since rusted in completely. I'm definitely keeping this bottom housing though. It's a KDK, I have to keep that. This top housing, I would definitely take it because it's really in good shape, but those screws have nothing that resembles a head left. So that's another one that's going to the scrap. And there's that motor on the ground. I'm going to take that out as well. Away. This is the really old KDK motor. Part of me wants to keep this because it's old, but then a part of me knows that I can't fix it. I don't know why it's turning so slowly. I already changed the capacitor. So the realistic thing to do is just let go of it. This piece, I didn't even know these things came with their own holders. Then I'll keep the terminal block and the capacitor and the cap. Then get rid of this. Ooh, this is still good. I know that this works. This just needs to be cleaned up and find a new home. So I'll put one of these caps on it from now, and I'll put it in the good pile. This is one that hasn't showed up on the channel since 2020. This is still good. So the thing with this, it's still good, but it has no capacitor. But I got plenty of those, so just need to put a new capacitor in it. I'm not gonna do that now, so I'll put this in the project pile. This is a Induscom. This looks pretty new. I'm not even gonna bother. I think this one is good. And what's this now? Oh, this is locked up. And it's filthy. Yeah, I'm not gonna waste my time on this. I'm just gonna grab to the parts. Like the safety cable, and then the terminal block and capacitor. I'll grab those, and then the rest of this can go off the scrap. That's if this screw comes out. That screw is stripping. Okay, that screw is stripped. Forget that then. I'll just grab the capacitor. These are always useful. And then I'm gonna grab the screws and the spacers. I guess that's it. Let me show you what's on the ground. So those three are fans that need a bit of work, including the original that needs to be just cleaned off, and then I believe that's still good. These three are going to scrap, and then these are all in working condition. Rest of these are blades and other things I need to evaluate. That fan is really supposed to go up here. Just haven't put it back. Man. And then there's some old blades and housings. The truth is, I'm probably gonna scrap all those blades except for the homemade one. Or I guess I'll have to take a closer look before I decide. And then we got... This is motor housing. That's still in one piece, so I guess I'll take it. Some other housings. This is just a small step in a big project. So I guess I'll just cut the video here. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Also be on the lookout for part 2, which will hopefully be out soon, now that I've finished school and finally have time to make videos. See you next time.